The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the Happiness Jungle TV show with yours truly, your Chief Happiness Officer, Lyn-Dee Eldridge. And today, I'm pretty excited about today. You know, I met this gentleman at a networking event. So if you're in business and you're not going out there to network, you are missing out on building some of the most amazing relationships. Well, I was at a networking event and this gentleman was there. A matter of fact, he was also speaking at the event. And I was very intrigued with what he was sharing because I know for a fact that he can help so many of us that are in business, that are looking to grow our business, but sometimes we get stuck. This gentleman is an author, he's a speaker, and he is nationally known for helping people take their business to another level. He has a wonderful book out that's called Pay Me Forward. Let's say that together. Pay me forward. Say it again because it really feels good. Pay me forward. Mr. Andy Sokol is my guest today, and he's going to share exactly what does he mean and what's inside his book that's going to help us all pay me forward, pay you forward. So without further ado, please help me welcome Andy. Andy, hello there. How are you?
How are you doing, Lyn-Dee? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate to be able to be and helping and serve your audience on growing their business.
Oh, Andy, I am just so excited that I got to meet you. And more importantly, I was excited to be a student where you were speaking one day, because that's really what it's about. It's about us being students as well as teachers and mentors, and to be able to learn from the best of the best. And as far as I'm concerned, you are absolutely one of the best of the best. So without further ado, give me a little bit of background about you. I'd love for my audience to know, who are they listening to? Who are they getting great advice from? Tell me about your background, and then we're going to dig deep into your book.
So in the book, Pay Me Forever, my next one's going to be Pay Me Forward. That's a great title, but this one's Pay Me Forever. And what I wanted to do was, what I wanted to do was, I wanted to help small business owners figure out how to have a better life. And what I mean is this. You know, entrepreneurship is one of the only businesses and jobs in the world where somebody is willing to work 100 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours. And so what happens is it affects everything in your life. It affects your child, you're raising your kids, it affects your relationships and having to do fun things. You have no time for that. And so my background is I've always been in business. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been an entrepreneur. And in 95, when I graduated college, I started a company, and I was doing some of those same things that everybody talks about. I was working 100 hours a week, 7 days a week. As a matter of fact, my brother and I, when we first started the business, we couldn't afford to hire anybody. We couldn't afford to pay ourselves in the beginning either. And we were starting to work really late at night, and we had to decide, do we want to make the drive home, the hour-long commute, just to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep and then get up, drive back in again, or would that extra 2 hours of sleep make a difference? And so we actually bought cots at Kmart, and we slept on these little cots in our office occasionally because we had to work so late. We didn't want to stay until 3 in the morning and then drive home to get 2 hours of sleep. So it made no sense. So we decided that wasn't going to work. That wasn't going to be sustainable. You know, we both had families. And so we said, you know, we just have to get more customers, and we have to get better customers and be able to really manage our life better. And so we learned a lot of things along the way to have a normal life in your business. And most business owners miss that. They just work, and then their spouse is upset. They miss their kid's football game or football practice or soccer or hockey or gymnastics or whatever it is. They miss all that, and I wasn't going to do that. So we figured out a lot of things along the way to retain clients longer and to get more referrals out of them. Hence the name of the book, Pay Me Forever. It's about our customers never leaving and paying us forever, being a lifelong customer. And that's
really interesting, you know, and I even like Pay Me Forward, but it Pay Me Forever. I love that because there are so many times that we don't know how to keep our customers, and that's the abundance of our business and building the relationship. So yeah. I'm really interested in hearing more about how do you maintain and keep those customers and those clients in your business?
Well, here's the thing. Most training out there and most mindset of really most business owners is they're always focused on how do I get the next customer? What do I need to do? What's that new marketing idea I need? What's that thing I need to change in my brochures? What do we need to do to our website? All that stuff. Maybe I need to go to more networking events. Maybe I need to do more chamber business card exchanges and all those things. And you're still working. Instead of being home with your family or going to do something fun, how about fun for a change, right? You're staying late until 8, 9 o'clock at night at a networking event. And does that really pay off? So most business owners forget about the fact that the gold in their business is the customers that they already have. I'm not saying not to go and try to get new customers. What I'm saying is focus on taking care of the customers you have. Because there's a lot of statistics out there. One of them that the Small Business Administration puts out a lot is the most common reason why customers leave is because they don't feel appreciated. They don't feel the love. They just think you're just a number and who cares? And if the salesperson is only calling on them to sell them something, or if they're getting emails all the time, it's only about to sell them something, then there's no relationship anymore. And it's too easy. It's too easy for your customers to say, you know what, maybe there's a better alternative. Maybe I'll look around and the first thing they do is they price shop. Maybe I'll find somebody cheaper. And as a small business owner, the last thing you want is you want to be the cheapest in town because there's no margin there. I mean, what's the point of being in business if you can't make any money?
So let me ask you something, okay? Because that's a really valuable point, especially when people are bidding on jobs. I believe that you shouldn't be the lowest, you shouldn't be the highest, you should be really neutral in the middle, but maybe even a little bit higher because as we all know, when you pay for higher, we are expecting more quality. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and that's one of the models that we decided on early on was we were never, and I repeat, never going to be the cheapest in town. Because what's the point? Why do it? The only one making any money is maybe the employees, and of course the light bill gets paid and all that sort of stuff. The landlord gets paid, but at the end of the project or at the end of the month, there's no money left for you. So you might as well just stay at home and watch TV. So being the lowest provider is really just it's a downhill spiral, and you can't have that mindset to be able to stay in business. We've been in business right at 23 years now, and so we didn't do that by being the cheapest in town. You just can't. And we've seen a lot of competitors come and go throughout the years where they opened up and they were, not only a little cheaper, but they were half. I'm like, why are they half? And it's because they didn't have a real business. They didn't have employees. They didn't have a location. They worked out of their house perhaps, and they didn't have a real business. And you can't do that when you have a real business. People want to know their security in dealing with you as a company, whatever it is that you do. And they don't want fly-by-night companies.
Yeah, you have to treat your business as a business, not as a hobby. That's number one. And number two, I believe that if you're too low, you can't go any lower. However, if you're priced high, you could always give a discount. But you still have that value mark, and you can let people know this is what it normally is, but I'm offering a discount. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and that's something that's interesting you brought up because my philosophy on that has always been, we'll give them a discount, but not a huge discount. because we still need to have our margin. Otherwise, we just gave all our margin away. And again, what's the point? I'm all about working smarter and working less, because I want to have lots of fun. And that's how I've always been. And that's why you and I connected so well, because life is about having fun with your family and friends, doing fun things that you care about, and also making a difference in the world as well. As at the end of the day, you want to have a full plate, full spectrum of everything. And most business owners, they cut out the fun because they are too busy working and don't realize that there's an easier and better way.
Yeah, and then we're going home to our families and wondering why is there such a disconnect. And the fact of the matter is you're not having fun. And business isn't always fun, but the majority of the time you should really be enjoying what you do, because then you bring home the joy.
That's right. And now, especially more than ever these days, everyone's buried in their cell phone. And so a lot of business owners, they come home and they're not present. They're on their cell phone still, doing emails or whatever, and they're not even present then, even though they're home, but they're not really home.
Right. So I know that one of the questions that our audience has is, how do they figure out what's the right way to give an estimate, to be in that ballpark? How do they stand out? I know that's a lot of our clients, our audience out there. They're in business, whatever kind of business it is. It could be a lawn service, it could be computer repair, it could be anything. How do they know how to price themselves?
So that's actually a great question. A lot of times what business owners do, or salespeople, whatever, what they do is they come up with a price sometimes out of thin air. And really the way to calculate your pricing is you need to figure out, number one, first and most important, what are our costs? You have to figure out what your actual costs are going to be on that job, that project, that whatever you're doing for somebody. You've got to figure out, what are my costs? Then you've got to factor in a little bit of what I call oops money, oops costs.
I like that.
Because sometimes things happen, right?
You're right.
Sometimes things happen, and you have and you don't want to, you don't want to lose. And so now you have, what are your costs? What is the oops? And then you factor in your margin. What does your margin need to be for you to be a profitable company? Is it 20% margin? Is it 30% margin? What is it, right? And so then you add your margin on, and that's where you need to be. And if you do need to negotiate, if you're giving more than 10% away, you're giving away the farm. So you need to know what your costs are in order to, if the customer really needs you to help them a little bit on the pricing, maybe it's a tight thing and you really want that project, and you decide, yeah, we're willing to give a little bit of our margin, but just a small piece, you need to know how much you can give before you're hurting yourself as a company. So that's a big mistake a lot of times people make, where they're just pricing stuff. They're like, okay, we'll price it, we'll get the project, and we'll get it in here and figure it out. No, it's too late. You need to figure out ahead of time. And these are all things that, if you do this right, you're building a good relationship with your customer, because you want repeat business. You want them to call you again and again and again, hence lifetime customer. And you want them to refer you to everybody, because birds of a feather, what?
Flock together.
That's right. And so your customers all hang out with potential customers that for you. And so if you can become part of their life, you have a relationship with those customers or clients, then they're going to refer you to people just like them. And that's what you want. You want to be their friend. You need to learn everything you can about them and become their friend. Otherwise, you're just the V word, vendor.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want people to really understand, that people will pay. Everybody has a selective that financial portfolio. And I tell people this all the time: never prejudge what someone is willing to pay for, because as we know in today's world, people are saying they're broke, but they're going out and they're spending mega bucks, whether it's on tattoos or computers or gadgets. People will pay when they feel the value.
Right. And the value thing is huge. And that all goes back to a relationship with your client, having a relationship with them where they do feel the value. They feel like you're hearing them. There's a human connection as opposed to just, who's the cheapest this time? Okay, we'll call around, we'll get 3 bids. You don't want that. You don't want them to go out there and look for that and search for that. You want them to be satisfied that when they're using your company, they know that they're getting a fair price. They know they're not getting the cheapest price. They know that they're not getting the most expensive price. But what they do know also is that they're getting a fair price. And that's okay. That's good enough, especially if it's B2B. If you're business to business, then for sure it's good enough, because they just want to know that you're going to come through, and you're going to come through when you promise and how you promise. That's all they care about. And as long as the price is fair, they're good to go until the next time. Because your competitors are constantly soliciting, seducing, and trying to steal your customers every single day. Mm-hmm. And if you build the right bond and connection with that customer, they're not going to pay attention to all that noise. They're just going to do their thing, and they know what you do, and when they need your services, you're the one to call. And that's it. Simple as that. And those are just some things that we did along the way. There's a reason why after 23 years, we still have some of our very first customers. We service law firms primarily. And so we still have some of the same law firms all these years. And it's because we're there, and that's what we did.
That's fabulous, and that's exactly right. You want to retain what you have, and you want to grow. And word of mouth is your best advertisement ever. And then your clients and your customers, they become like your bodyguards. Nobody could say anything wrong about Andy. You don't know him. Obviously, you haven't worked with him. And they really go to bat for you because of the exact thing that you mentioned, which is building that strong relationship. And you become a family.
Well, sure. I can't tell you how many times I walked into a law firm and the receptionist or an attorney or somebody gave me the marketing materials of a competitor of ours that was in there the day before. They just held it and said, here, I thought you might want to look at their stuff, at their information, since they're a competitor. I'm like, wow, that's a great thing that they did for me, right? Who does that?
That is.
I mean, here I am, they're showing me, here's what they gave us. Maybe this can help you somehow. Like, wow.
Right.
Couldn't believe it.
Well, and it gives you acknowledgement of what your competitors are doing and offering. I love that. I know that I have some clients of mine, they call me up and they're like, somebody told me that they could coach me for X amount of dollars. And I told them, obviously, you're not going to give me the quality and the attention that Lyn-Dee gives me. So you are so spot on. I'm thrilled that you're saying this because it's important.
It absolutely is. In 2003, we sort of fell into the shredding industry, and I started a shredding company as well, and started doing things the right way this time, where we were just, in the beginning when business, I didn't know all these techniques of client retention. But we learned a lot and started applying client retention techniques from the early onset of that shredding business. And 12 years later, I sold it to a multi-million-dollar worldwide company as a competitor, because they had tried to get those customers and they were not getting anywhere. And so they approached us and bought us out. And in that business, we still had customers from our very first year as well, which was a 12-year-old business. And so that's when I learned really how important it is to retain your clients and just to keep them as long as you can. And I always ask business owners when we're doing work with them, is I always ask them this one question: what would your business be like if you had never lost a customer? And they all look at me like, oh my gosh. And then I explain to them, then you need to concentrate on keeping your customers longer. And that's how you really grow a business. And then when you really grow it to a certain size, it becomes valuable enough where somebody else wants to buy it. And so,
and you never know. So you're building your business, and you never know who's watching you. And then you never know who's interested in you. And as long as your numbers are where they are and you have something of value, think about that. It's a piece of real estate. Business is real estate.
Absolutely.
Agree?
They wanted those relationships. That was the real estate. They wanted those relationships, and they didn't want me. They didn't want any, they wanted our guys that were in the business. They didn't want me. They just wanted that business and those relationships. And and that was really what they wanted. And it was actually an amazing thing to see and to go through and to really understand that I didn't realize what I was doing all these years. I just kind of was doing my thing, taking care of my clients, making sure they call us over and over and over again, because I wanted to be able to have time off to go do fun stuff. In order to do that, you don't have to be so worried about, oh my gosh, we got to get customers in here so we can pay the rent. If you have a consistent customer base, you have less worries.
Absolutely. I know how powerful you are. Now you have a book out. When was the book published? Pay Me Forever.
I published it right at about a year ago. And it's called Pay Me Forever. This is it right here.
And it's a great book. I have a copy of your book. It's great.
And what I'm doing for your audience is I'm actually, if they go to the website, paymeforever.com, I'm actually giving away to all your listeners today and later on down the road as they hear this broadcast, a free digital version. They can download it. They just go to the website and have it. And it's going to really help and serve a lot of businesses. The government has a lot of statistics about business failures. And I've always been there's got to be a better way. It's got to be a better way. And so there's a lot of techniques in there that I wrote about, things that we do in our business, things we've done, and things that we kind of sort of invented along the way we systemize our efforts so we didn't forget to take care of our customers, because sometimes you get caught in the whirlwind of your busy day-to-day stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do these 12 things. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and then 12 more things happen and then you just never do it. So we systemized a lot of that, made it automatic so we didn't forget. And that was kind of very helpful along the way. And so there's a lot of good information in that book, and I think it's going to serve your community very well.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. And the other component to be a successful business person is your time management skills.
That's huge. That's a huge thing for sure. And entrepreneurs, this, we probably suffer the worst. Because being an entrepreneur, you're always looking at the opportunities. You have a lot of shiny objects that come in front of you, and it's hard to stay focused sometimes. At least I know myself I'm that way, and so I had to figure out, how do I stay focused? Sometimes it's hard to do, for sure. Time management plays a big part of that, because at the end of the day, you still need to have results in your business. You need to have the results. Just because you tried something, just because you made some phone calls, if there was no result, then it was for nothing. And so that's the tough part, and a lot of people think they're busy making phone calls, but all they did was leave messages. Or they're busy, shooting off a lot of emails, but they really didn't speak to anybody. And so it's the result that matters at the end of the day. It's always about the results.
It's always about the results. It's always about time management and not being that trench coat business. Well, I threw this out yesterday. It didn't work. You didn't even give it time to work. You didn't give it time to harvest. You got to water the seed in order for it to start sprouting up and growing. And people give up very, very quickly when, in fact, it's like that old cartoon with two men that are digging the trenches underneath the ground. And they're both so close, and one of them finally gives up, and the other one goes one more time and smashes down the wall, and there's the harvest, right?
And that is so true. It happens. It's like when you get a new customer, it's kind of like you have a plant now. You have a plant. You go down to Lowe's or Home Depot or the local nursery, you have this plant, and if you don't water it, what's going to happen? It's going to wither and die.
That's right.
But if you water it, it's going to bloom. It's going to blossom. It's going to grow. And if it's a flowering plant, it's going to bring you flowers, or it's going to bring you fruit. Same thing with the customer. You get a new customer. If you do nothing, they will eventually die.
Right.
And they're going to move on. In business terms, they're gone. But if you water them, if you nurture them, if you're in front of your customers, and it's all about staying in front of, but in a low key way, where you're not being in their face as far as business. If you do that enough times, they'll never forget what you do. You know, right now is the holiday time, and I've been getting a lot of, you know, Christmas cards, holiday cards and stuff. And some of the cards I get, it's funny what they're doing. There's either no name on it, like yesterday I got one, there was no name on it. The person hand delivered it to me, which was cool, but there was no name on the envelope, and she handed me the card with her business card.
Ugh.
I'm like,
let's talk
wow.
about that for a second, because that is a key. I'm getting those cards just like you are, and they're not even signed. It's all already done. Their business card, and you know what I do with those cards? They go in the trash because there's no personal connection there. All they want to do is my business, and they're not even telling me I love you and I'm thinking about you.
That's it. And it's funny, you get them with just their business card in it, not signed either. That's the kiss of death. To receive a business card for in a birthday card or a holiday card or anything like that, just to have a business card in there is the kiss of death. It's almost like you're offending the person, and you know they're not taking it the way. And it screams how you don't care because you didn't take the time to sign your name. Instead, you shoved a card in. Maybe it wasn't even you. Maybe it was just an assistant. That was their job for the day, to stick a label on a bunch of envelopes. There's no personalization there. There's no make me feel good, make me appreciate. There's no gratitude whatsoever. And that comes across. And a lot of times, I mean, I laugh at this time of year because I see it all the time. And then I always call them later and I say, hey, I need to talk to you. You know, and some people get offended. And I try to help them. And they're offended. And some people go, you know what, I guess you're right. So, you know, you can only help the ones that want to be helped, you know, and but it's that time of year, and it just makes me laugh that, and also the other thing is a quick email. It's just an email from a generic cartoon that says, you know, happy holidays. It's not even signed or anything or personalized.
I agree. So let's keep the personal touch, the old-fashioned way of writing that card. It doesn't take long. Write something heartfelt. Nobody's looking for you to write a story. They're asking you just to let me know that you care, just that you know that we care. And so many of your clients aren't getting those cards, so they're really excited when they get yours. We're almost done, Andy. How can people reach you?
So the best way to reach me is, again, to go to paymeforever.com. And if you go to paymeforever.com, that has contact information. And really, it's all about, I'd love for you to see the information, read the information. It's going to help your business. And if you want to get a hold of me after that, then that's great too. The information's there at the website. So excellent. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate being able to serve. And there's hopefully everyone gets a lot of value out of today.
Thank you so much. And you heard it, guys. You can pay me forever with Andy. Get in touch with him and really go to his website. He has an abundance amount of information for you to be successful. Happy holidays, everybody. And take your business and level it up to where you want to be. I never said life was easy, but we did say you could be happier. Bye-bye for now. Say bye to everybody, Andy.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.